Shrouding the Heavens, Episode 75. Yi Fan single-handedly challenged the entire Qingxia Sect. The disciples guarding the mountain gate were no match for him. Even the supreme elder of the Qingxia Sect was reduced to ashes by Yi Fan's battle victory technique, one of the 9 deadly arts, considered the ultimate of the Eastern offensive arts. This unmatched technique left all the disciples of Qingxia Sect trembling with fear as they watched Yi Fan, who appeared like a demon lord before them. The terror he exuded overwhelmed both their minds and bodies. There was no need to fight to the end. Both the Supreme Elder and the Sect Master of Qingxia Sect were alarmed and rushed out in haste. 10 powerful experts from the Dao Palace appeared in succession and surrounded Yi Fan. However, Yi Fan remained calm and unruffled, showing no trace of panic. On the contrary, he seemed faintly expectant, as this time he could go all out. The Sect Master of Qingxia believed that Yi Fan might be the heir of some great power, but relaxed upon hearing that Yi Fan was just a wandering cultivator. With no more concerns, the Sect Master ordered the mountain gate sealed, not allowing Yi Fan or his people to leave. Although they realized that Yi Fan's combat strength was astonishing, they believed it was impossible for him to withstand them all at once. Even a young Grand Saint might not be able to do so. 10 Dao Palace experts attacked simultaneously, each controlling one divine being, and their combined might was terrifying enough. They combined their weapons and launched an assault on Yi Fan. Yi Fan quickly realized that the terrifying weapons of the Dao Palace were powered by divine beings, greatly increasing their strength. For instance, the Sect Master of Qingxia summoned a bronze lamp, and the spirit within transformed into a sun that merged with the lamp, illuminating the sky like a heavenly lantern descending from beyond the world. It rained down flames upon Yi Fan, evaporating a nearby waterfall and turning the water vapor into a mist, creating a fairyland-like scene. Yi Fan swung his fist towards the bronze lamp, dispersing the clouds and mist and clearing the sky. His golden fist sliced through the air like an ancient war chariot, shaking the heavens with its might. This immense divine power surged like an ocean, causing the Sect Master and Supreme Elder of Qingxia Sect to turn pale in terror. It was unbelievable that such a young man could possess such overwhelming power. He must have been either a rare prodigy or an elite disciple of a holy land. But now that they had clashed, there was no turning back. The combined weapons of the 10 Dao Palace experts were barely enough to block Yi Fan's golden fist. The Sect Master of Qingxia Sect became uneasy, realizing that Yi Fan must be eliminated as soon as possible. If he grew any stronger, they would stand no chance. The Supreme Elders each used their ultimate skills, but they were no match for one of the 9 mysteries, the Dujuo secret, and the attackers were countered by Yi Fan and killed. 1 Supreme Elder fell. The Sect Master of Qingxia, Chen Sheng, asked Yi Fan which holy land he belonged to, filled with fear. If this young man wasn't from a holy land, his potential would be even more terrifying. But now there was no way to retreat. Only by fighting to the death could they hope for survival. The remaining 9 experts unleashed their divine beings, forming a heaven and earth net to entrap Yi Fan. The members of Qingxia Sect trapped Yi Fan, attempting to refine him using his own battle victory technique. However, Yi Fan evolved the sun and moon and launched an unstoppable attack on the 9 individuals, dominating them with sheer power. He suppressed all 9 on his own. At a critical moment, a Supreme Elder of Qingxia Sect unleashed their most powerful treasure, the purple gold gourd. As the gourd opened, purple mist seeped out, forming a huge vortex that sucked Yi Fan in. But before they could refine him, Yi Fan shattered the gourd with brute force from inside. In the blink of an eye, Yi Fan killed 3 more Supreme Elders and subdued the rest, displaying a terrifying power that defied all reason. At his young age and stage, he should not have possessed such overwhelming strength, leaving the Supreme Elders of Qingxia Sect confused. Finally, the Sect Master of Qingxia spoke, mentioning that someone with such power had appeared before in Beiyu, God King Jiang Taishu, the first in 5,000 years in terms of attack power. Despite Jiang Taishu's disappearance 4,000 years ago and the emergence of many brilliant figures since, he was still regarded as the greatest in offensive techniques, invincible in Beiyu. The Sect Master and Supreme Elders broke out in cold sweat, realizing that Yi Fan's attack power was comparable to that of Jiang Taishu in his youth. At this point, the Qingxia Sect had lost the will to fight. The Sect Master and Supreme Elders fled for their lives, but unfortunately Yi Fan had already sealed the place, preventing their escape. Fully transformed into a demon lord, Yi Fan massacred everyone in the Qingxia Sect. Once a place of elegance and peace with green fields, rivers, lakes, and tranquil ponds, Qingxia Sect now resounded with the cries of slaughter. The green grass was stained with red mist, blood droplets covered the flower petals, and the trees bloomed with red flowers. Bodies fell one after another, with no one knowing how many had died. Ye Fan had become a young demon lord, slaughtering everywhere. Bodies piled up under his feet, and not only was the sect master reduced to ashes, but 2 supreme elders were also turned to dust. Ye Fan was furious. The Qingxia Sect, under the pretense of development, had committed appalling crimes, violently oppressing the common people and staining their hands with blood for profit. They supported rogue factions, demolished villages, and caused massacres for the sake of mining original ore. Villagers who resisted were met with horrifying violence and bloodshed. Though the rogue factions often carried out the dirty work, it was all done under the orders of the Qingxia Sect. Thus, Ye Fan showed no mercy to those responsible. However, Ye Fan was not bent on extermination. He used his divine sense to scan the disciples of Qingxia Sect. Those with blood on their hands were killed immediately, while those who had not taken lives were spared. Countless disciples knelt and begged for mercy, but Ye Fan only cared about the facts. His divine sense scanned everyone, and for those involved in bloodshed, there was no mercy. Ye Fan calmly walked forward, unaware of how many people he had already killed. The roads were stained red with blood. In the end, Wang Shu and Lei Bo, unable to bear watching the massacre any longer, asked Ye Fan to stop. They reasoned that if everyone was killed, there would be no one left to help him establish a new sect. However, Ye Fan had no intention of sparing those responsible for the corruption. Although he wished to start a sect and needed followers, the entire Qingxia Sect was too rotten for him to rely on. The surviving members of the Qingxia Sect were nearly in despair. The sect master and supreme elders had committed many crimes, and many of the disciples had participated in rogue faction activities. Their hands were far from clean, and they saw that Ye Fan had no intention of sparing them. In desperation, they decided to fight back, charging at Ye Fan with all their strength. However, the outcome was inevitable. No matter how fiercely they fought, they were no match for Ye Fan. Chaos ensued in the Qingxia Sect, and the screams of battle filled the air. It wasn't until half an hour later that peace was restored. When the blood mist finally dispersed, only bodies remained. Ye Fan had killed a total of 217 people, leaving the Qingxia Sect nearly wiped out. From ordinary disciples to elders, the entire sect had become a land of blood. Only 23 people survived, spared because they had not committed any crimes and had resented the actions of their sect. Ye Fan also freed 3 elders from the stone prison in the rear mountain, elders who had been imprisoned for opposing the support of rogue factions. With the Qingxia Sect effectively destroyed, only 26 people remained alive. Ye Fan then instructed the survivors to bury all the dead, allowing the sins and evil of the Qingxia Sect to be buried along with them. He proceeded to the main peak and opened the Qingxia Sect's treasury, where a radiant glow revealed piles of yuan stones. Although they were not fully refined, they were still considered pure. The yuan stones, weighing about half a ton, were much more than Ye Fan had estimated. These riches were the result of Qingxia Sect's plundering. Ye Fan told Wang Shu and Lei Bo to take some yuan stones for their daily cultivation practice. Then he summoned his jade bottle and stored the remaining half-ton of yuan stones inside, enough to help him break through to the second level of the Dao Palace. Gaining so much from wiping out a small sect was incredible, and even Ye Fan was tempted to attack the next sect to increase his strength further. Aside from the yuan stones, the treasury also contained numerous weapons and secret manuals, which Ye Fan took. Meanwhile, the 26 surviving members of Qingxia Sect were anxious about their fate. Ye Fan placed top weapons and Dao Palace-level treasures in front of them, assuring them that these were theirs, with no need to worry. He explained that Qingxia Sect had been taken over by rogue factions, causing chaos across the land. Now that the sect was wiped out, the true inheritors remained. The survivors could hardly believe their fortune. Just moments ago, they were worried about their lives, and now they had access to treasures and secret techniques. One trembling disciple asked Ye Fan if it was real, and after receiving his confirmation, the group finally felt at ease, relieved to know their fate had changed. Ye Fan informed the remaining disciples that once they became strong, they would all be promoted to elders of Qingxia Sect. Since everyone else had been killed, those who survived would naturally take on these positions. However, Ye Fan decided to change the name of Qingxia Sect to Guangjiao, Mining Sect. When the group heard the new name, they were puzzled, thinking it sounded too rustic, immediately evoking thoughts of mining. Even Wang Shu and Lengzi found the name unappealing. However, Ye Fan explained that Qingxia meant a great and vast sect, and he had already claimed it as his own territory, where no one else would be allowed to interfere. He planned to start cultivating there soon. In the next 3 days, Ye Fan wiped out 17 rogue factions within a 500-mile radius with lightning-fast methods, killing every last one of them. When Ye Fan returned to Qingxia Sect, planning to use the resources he had gained to enter seclusion, he was informed by the elders that people had been spying on the sect over the past 3 days. The spies were from Lihuo Sect, Qingxia Sect, Xuanui Cave, and Qixing Pavilion, all trying to probe Qingxia Sect's situation. The 3 elders were worried, and the 23 young disciples were also anxious. Ye Fan reassured them that there was no need to worry, as he would take action if necessary. Just as they spoke, a voice was heard from outside the mountain gate. Disciples from Xuanui Cave had come to pay their respects, requesting to meet the sect master of Qingxia Sect. Soon, a young man in his 20s named Li Yoran ascended the stone steps, smiling. His purpose was to scout the current state of Qingxia Sect. If the sect had experienced significant changes, he intended to propose merging the 2 sects, claiming it would bring mutual prosperity. Ye Fan, however, responded that merging the 2 sects wasn't impossible, and asked Li Yoran to tell the sect master of Xuanui Cave to prepare. They could bring their people to Qingxia Sect anytime, and Ye Fan even suggested that the Xuanui sect master could serve as vice sect master of Qingxia Sect. Li Yoran mocked Ye Fan's words, but Ye Fan had no interest in listening to his nonsense, and slapped him hard, causing him to spit blood. Before leaving, Li Yoran threatened that Qingxia Sect was truly on the brink of destruction. Under the main peak of Qingxia, the scenery remained lively, with birds chirping and flowers blooming. However, the 3 elders and 23 disciples in the forest were filled with worry. Ye Fan quietly stood in the Fenglan forest, surrounded by sparkling flower petals, and felt himself drawing closer to enlightenment. The 3 elders shared some secrets about Xuanui Cave with Ye Fan. They revealed that, like Qingxia Sect, Xuanui Cave had also supported rogue factions, though in a more discreet manner. In terms of size and strength, Xuanui Cave was on par with Qingxia Sect. The one thing that made Ye Fan cautious was that Xuanui Cave still had a living supreme sect master. This old sect master, who had retired from public life 10 years ago, controlled 3 divine beings in his Dao Palace and was quite famous in the region. For a sect like Qingxia, this was intimidating. Although Ye Fan had a unique physique and incredible combat strength, making him one of the top figures among those at his level, facing an old monster like the supreme sect master of Xuanui Cave would still be a significant challenge. Even with extraordinary talent, fighting across 2 major realms was almost impossible, as the gap in cultivation level would be too vast to overcome. No matter how skilled or powerful, Ye Fan would face a near-impossible battle against such an opponent. Ye Fan continued to explain that 10 years had passed since the old sect master of Xuanui Cave had retired. If he hadn't made any breakthroughs during that time, it would be surprising. Facing such an ancient figure, the best option would be to avoid confrontation, as defeating him would be extremely difficult. The people of Qingxia Sect were all worried that, if Xuanui Cave truly sought their destruction, even a young demon king like Ye Fan might not be able to stop them. With Lihuo Sect, Luoxia Sect, Xuanui Cave, and Qixing Pavilion all watching closely, the situation for Qingxia Sect was indeed precarious. Ye Fan decided to personally visit Xuanui Cave to assess the situation and devise a plan. If possible, he intended to use a special tactic to assassinate the old sect master directly. Xuanui Cave was 900 miles away from Qingxia Sect, also located in an oasis. Unlike Qingxia's elegance, Xuanui Cave had a more mysterious atmosphere, with ancient caves and secluded swords adding to its mystique. Arriving miles away, Ye Fan used the Great Transformation technique to disguise himself as a fat man in a Taoist robe and approached the mountain gate. He was stopped by the disciples guarding the entrance. Ye Fan, displaying the demeanor of a true expert, claimed to have heard of Xuanui Cave's great reputation and requested to discuss Dao with their sect master. The gatekeepers were taken aback and dared not offend him, so they hurriedly went to report his arrival. Ye Fan had mastered the Great Transformation technique to a significant level, though he still felt that his temperament and aura weren't quite perfect yet. Before long, an elder from Xuanui Cave came out and respectfully inquired about Ye Fan's purpose. Ye Fan introduced himself as Duande, a man of infinite virtues, claiming to be a wandering cultivator. The elder outwardly remained respectful but secretly mocked the name, thinking it sounded more like that of a rogue. The elder led Ye Fan deeper into the cave, where the path was lined with cliffs covered in vines, and the surroundings gave off an otherworldly feeling. Ye Fan was somewhat surprised by the extraordinary nature of the place, though he couldn't pinpoint why. In a landscape of stone mountains, clear springs, and towering ancient tombs, Ye Fan was invited to sit opposite the elder in a pavilion, where a young boy served fragrant tea and snacks. After half an hour, Ye Fan realized that he still hadn't met the sect master, let alone the old sect master. There was no way to take him by surprise and kill him. Seeing that the opportunity to meet the sect master was slipping away, Ye Fan began to bluff, claiming that the place had a faint dragon aura. The elder of Xuanui Cave was impressed by Ye Fan's words, exclaiming that Ye Fan must indeed be extraordinary to sense the hidden power of the cave. Originally, Ye Fan had been making things up, but when he focused his divine sense and unleashed his powerful divine stone, he realized that his words had been true. His divine sense scanned the ancient cave, crossing cliffs, celestial halls, and ancient tombs, and he discovered something unusual. The place was filled with ancient relics, and to his surprise, there was a faint mist swirling about, which took the form of a dragon. Only those with extraordinary divine sense could perceive it. Ye Fan asked the elder which ancient sage had lived there, and the elder of Xuanui Cave began to reveal more about the cave's history. The elder of Xuanui Cave revealed to Ye Fan that the sage who once lived in the cave was nameless, leaving behind only a few inscriptions in an ancient cave, and no profound Tao had been passed down. Ye Fan remained silent, focusing his divine sense on observing the surroundings. The place was shrouded in mist, but upon closer inspection, it was clear that something was unusual. As his divine sense extended outward, it created a slight pressure that the elder could feel. The elder led Ye Fan to a secluded area where nothing grew, and the tall stone cliffs and withered vines evoked a sense of timelessness. While the elder didn't sense anything extraordinary, Ye Fan could feel a trace of an extraordinary essence, vast and boundless. The elder explained that some prominent figures in the past had sensed the presence of a sage, but found no Tao techniques or treasures. Even the supreme elder of the Jade Pool had once wandered here without results. Ye Fan's heart sank upon hearing this, realizing that if even Holy Land figures found nothing, it confirmed that there was little of value remaining. However, as they approached a broken stone mountain along the Tao path, Ye Fan spotted an ancient cave where time seemed to flow endlessly. There were 3 faint lines carved on a cliff, barely visible after all the years. Ye Fan recognized the handwriting immediately. It was that of Emperor Wuxi. The discovery shook Ye Fan deeply. He hadn't found any profound Tao, but the inscriptions were significant. He had seen these writings before, and now, he understood why the place felt extraordinary. Emperor Wuxi had once lived here, leaving behind a mysterious aura that still lingered after tens of thousands of years. The faint celestial mist and the hidden power in the place confirmed the emperor's legacy. Ye Fan silently made up his mind. He had to conquer this place. Although Xuanui Cave had supported bandits and engaged in criminal activities like Qingxia Sect, Ye Fan felt no guilt in taking them down for the greater good. However, at that moment, he realized that he wasn't confident in defeating the supreme sect master of Xuanui Cave. So, Ye Fan concocted a story about his master residing at Qingxia Sect, leaving a note in the pavilion stating that he hoped Xuanui Cave and Qingxia Sect could coexist peacefully. Afterward, Ye Fan quietly left, disappearing outside the mountain gate. Half an hour later, the sect master of Xuanui Cave arrived at the pavilion. After reading Ye Fan's note, he furrowed his brows and remarked, "This Taoist is not simple. I'm afraid even I am no match for him. Who would have thought he had a master? Only if the supreme sect master emerges could we hope to defeat him." Ye Fan's trip to Xuanui Cave had been fruitful, as he had discovered the relics left by Emperor Wuxi, which were of great importance to him. As Ye Fan left, he couldn't stop thinking about the words, "Who will stand at the end of the immortal path? One sword from Wuxi, and all becomes void." The piece of the realm he carried felt warm, and he carefully put it away, glancing back at Xuanui Cave before disappearing beyond the horizon. When Ye Fan returned to Qingxia Sect, he found that even seclusion wasn't an option anymore. Lihuo Sect, Luoxia Sect, and Seven Stars Pavilion could no longer hold back, and it seemed they were ready to strike at any moment.